say Danny Kruger on the other. These are people that actually, especially Danny, who's actually looking at thinking about policy, must be sitting there thinking, crikey, this is really significant noise. It's more than just noises off. But I just want to actually write a manifesto and that can shake up the establishment, but make the institutions work. And how is he going to get that done when he's got all this stuff around him? What has he signed up to? And there'll be other people like that who've joined the party again to shake stuff up. But it is a one-man band. It is everyone's a disciple around Nigel, and they must start thinking, this isn't what I signed up for.
Nigel Farage is on the front page of the Sunday Times today as the paper reveals that he has not declared benefits in kind, including staff, security and housing, given by crypto gambler George Cottrell. Gabriel Pogren is the editor of Insight, the Sunday Times investigation team, which has revealed the extent to which Cottrell supported Farage.
If not quite everything, then just an extraordinary array of different facets of Farage's life and operation, from security to drivers to staff in his back office to support for his social media output, including a lot of the output that helped generate the hundreds of thousands of followers that Farage obtained before the election, which helped broaden his appeal beyond his base.
Let's reflect on this investigation from the Sunday Times. And as Rosie was chatting about with Gabriel Pogren from the Insight team about half an hour ago, there is a question here as to what impact this has on Farage and on Reform UK. And I think there are sort of different aspects to this. So Emma, shall we start with effect on Farage and his electability, his attractiveness to voters? And I want to distinguish that from how he may be viewed within his own party. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start with voters.
So there is a hardcore of voters who I wouldn't say are Reform voters, they're Farage voters. They just love him, they want him in number 10, and whatever is found out about him one way or the other, they will stick with him. But that is not the whole of the 25-ish points that Farage's party is on at the moment. And it will not be enough that will get them over the line. So every time Farage is damaged like this, the Reform considerers, the people who are thinking, I might vote Reform, are just pushed further and further away, and that is a real problem for them, because in terms of the party, I'm afraid they're very much a one-man band.
Yeah, and this builds actually what we were discussing last weekend. Luke Trill from More in Common had written in the Sunday Times, and we discussed it on this programme with his colleague Louis, this idea of two different blocks actually of voters, the left bloc and the right bloc. And so Reform obviously in the right bloc with the Conservatives and with Restore Britain, and the need that there is to attract voters to your bloc to become the dominant force within that bloc. And Luke's made the point before that the kind of the loss of momentum for Reform UK over these last few months, not winning in parliamentary by-elections is an example of that. Farage going a little quiet in the aftermath of the revelation of the £5 million donation from the crypto billionaire Mr. Harburn. These sorts of things take the momentum out of a movement to try to dominate the right bloc of politics. And so, Paul, would you agree with Emma on that actually, when it comes to the core Reform voter, unshakable. It's Team Farage all the way. But actually, when it comes to the attractiveness to other voters who may sort of dabble with Nigel Farage and Reform UK, that's where he might have problems.
Absolutely, I totally agree with exactly what Emma said. You have people who are disciples of Nigel Farage. It feels like almost like a religious cemetery, which you get on both the right and with Jack Polanski and Green on the left. This sense of populism. These are people that just have seen someone that they think can smash up the system, and they will follow that to the nth degree. There will be people that will also think that this is sort of deep state intervention, this report, and the attack on the 5 million. It'll be the uni party, as they describe it, the Conservative and Labour just ganging up to have a go at him because they're fearful of his of his approach. In reality, though, it just does not pass the sniff test. There will be millions of people up and down the country.
I actually don't think it's Labour Party
the detail of Gabriel's report. They won't
I think it's
remember
Nigel Farage.
Christopher Hogan's name about the 5 million. But
Well,
they
why
will know
shouldn't Keir
that there's a
Starmer
lot
do
of
what it-
money
why shouldn't
circling
Labour
Nigel
Party
Farage
do it?
in a hugely, deeply inappropriate manner. There's nothing wrong with with people attracting money, with people attracting successful people around them. But if they just come in there getting gifted 5 million quid, which let's face it, does not happen to everybody, gets gifted a lot of accommodation, security, all that support.
I was going to say, well, they're the ones
that
that going on and on about fucking Keir Starmer and Lord Alley
that
and the
is
money.
something really significant when you're looking for who's going to run this country.
Yeah, and so let's keep it with you, Paul, because I think there's another element to this, which is what it does
Well, the
internally
fucking world
within
and glasses
Reform
are like
UK itself. Because if this is Project Farage, Team Farage, etc., this is also a smallish party when you
So
look at
why
the kind of
don't we
elected
alright,
representatives.
not alright Keir Starmer, but
They
it's
are
alright
known
for
for their
Nigel
fighting
Farage.
amongst themselves, and disagreement is fine, whatever. But there have been fallouts in the past. Is there a different story to be written here for what things like this do for the confidence of Farage's own colleagues?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think about my former colleagues that have gone to Reform, and you've got some there that have gone for careers and whatever different reasons. And you've got people, then got people who are relatively moderate and thoughtful people like Nadine Sahawi on one side, Danny Kruger on the other. These are people that actually, especially Danny, who's actually looking at thinking about policy, must be sitting there thinking, crikey, this is really significant noise. It's more than just noises off. But I just want to actually write a manifesto and that can shake up the establishment, but make the institutions work. And how is he going to get that done when he's got all this stuff around him? What has he signed up to? And there'll be other people like that who've joined the party again to shake stuff up. But it is a one-man band. It is everyone's a disciple around Nigel, and they must start thinking, this isn't what I signed up for.
And the other question we've been looking at, Emma, I wonder what you think about this, is if Nigel is that disciple, has he himself run to the end of the road to think, I actually don't want to bother dealing with this anymore? Some have been suggesting to us this morning that maybe that's the case, that Nigel Farage will say, I can't be bothered to put up with this.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, would it? I mean, he stepped down the second we voted for Brexit, and when the hard work came in, he was off.
Yeah.
So
He did deal with
there's
Brexit and they were telling us on
there.
Dark TV that
He's not
he dealt with
particularly
it.
young man. I mean, I'm not a particularly young woman, so I say this with love. But there is
That's his
a
bet on
world
the
in which
side.
Nigel Farage enjoys the money he's got,
Yeah.
and goes off and lives probably in an island somewhere that's not Britain, because that's what very rich people like his donor tend to do. And there's a world in which he has to do the hard yards of trying to turn around Reform's currently dipping polls. They're still in the lead, but they are steadily going down. And I think you used the word momentum earlier, and it does seem that they are very
They're
much
going down a Labour.
lost that momentum for the
Down the
moment.
curve,
Which is
down.
quite extraordinary. I mean, they did very, very well in the local elections. There is a path for them, but at the moment,
No,
the problem
not.
is that path goes off in very, very different directions, and they don't know which one to take.
Yeah, in the next couple of weeks they may be contending with a burn and bounce as well, is the other part of this. Let me just tell you this, that Reform UK say Farage did not need to declare Cottrell support
He did.
as it preceded his announcement that he would stand for Parliament, and so he was not a politician at the time. Instead, it said he was a media personality and commentator, so the funding did not support political activity. A source adds that Farage almost always stayed in his own home and did not routinely use the London property owned by posh George Cottrell. Excuse me, I keep saying that wrong. Cottrell.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but which of us is thinking, oh yeah, I just get £5 million for nothing, or I just get to use a big posh home? It's just that whole man of the people shtick that Farage is really good at.
But it's all, a whole world that is difficult to comprehend. And Paul, as a former MP, perhaps you can lift a bit of a lid on this. Not that I'm saying there's anything undue about the donations or whatever that you would have got, but politicians depend on support, don't they?
Well, absolutely.
Such as this.
You have to go out. You're delivering millions of leaflets. You've got to do a lot of stuff. You need cash to do that. We don't have state funding of politics, and there will be people that campaign for that, but that's basically taxpayers funding different parties, so that in itself is problematic. So you do need cash. You do have to go out and with a begging bowl and these kind of things. You have to make sure that you're above and beyond, that you're showing that there's no quid pro quo for it beyond actually having a government that person or that institution supports. But I think what you've got with Farage here is the Trump defence. Is just absolutely blitz it out and say, no, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. I wasn't in politics. I'm sorry if you are sitting there leading a political party and you're working around everything, then there is a political element to it. So you should just be, register it, have it up for scrutiny, and then it's there for people to see and make their own mind up. You can't just do this Trump thing and blitz it out. By the way, whenever he says about the 5 million, he says about it's a gift. My theory on that is that he's talking about a gift as in for the taxpayers, because then if Christopher Harbin lives for 7 years, then obviously he doesn't have to pay tax on it. So I suspect that's why he's talking about whether it's a gift or not. It's more accounting term than a present.
Interesting. Loads of your messages on this morning.
Yeah, Gary says, I don't care if a politician is bankrolled by some rich friends. What I want from them is that they're honest about their policies when they stand for election, and if they get elected into power, they implement those policies. All too often our leaders get elected saying they'll do ABC, then they do XYZ when they're in office. They are the really dishonest ones.
Peter says, it shows me that Nigel Farage simply cannot be trusted to act in an honest and transparent way with any of his dealings. The problem is that his most rabid supporters, says Peter, will not care about this, potentially leading up to the enormous danger to this country of him becoming PM. Were he to be found culpable of wrongdoing and forced to resign, Reform UK would cease to exist, as none of his failed Tory cronies would have any support.
Yeah, John says, I feel I need to remind you that the Labour Party is largely funded and influenced by the unions. Talk about funding and implied influence on other parties and leaders. Their specific donors need to be measured against this context.
I suppose that...
It's declared, it's open, it's one of the most transparent funding relationships in politics.
Yeah, and that is at the core of it, Emma. Absolutely fair point, is the transparency. And just finally, for there are heaps of these. Lisa says, excellent article by Gabriel Pilgrim's the team. Do we really want Trump-like corruption on an epic scale in the UK? Unfortunately, says Lisa, Reform voters don't understand or care.
Well, Reform have been asked about this morning. Robert Jenrick was asked on Sky News by our Times Radio colleague, Trevor, if Nigel Farage is becoming more than a liability than an asset to Reform.
Don't be silly, Trevor. Nigel is...
Don't be silly.
Well, because it's a silly...
You've lost half of the point.
It's a daft question.
You've lost half of the point. You can barely hear a word out of your leader. He's keeping a low profile.
Nigel Farage is keeping a low profile.
Nigel Farage is out of profile.
Nigel Farage is out and about across the country. In fact, he was in America the last couple of days meeting the US Vice President.
Well,
he's travelling. He's done more.
To remind you, he's a British MP. He can do as much as he likes in America.
He's also somebody who is the leading
Where is Nigel?
character. My point is, Prime Minister of this country is quite right that he travels around the world and meets other statesmen.
He's disappeared like Keir
Don't be
Starmer.
silly, Trevor.
I think he's disappeared as much as Keir Starmer's disappearing.
Good morning, Mark. We love your
It's about
show.
saying piss off you. Talk TV. Don't talk about report. Well, we can fucking do one. But we're not having it.
China and Russia support Iran like nobody's business. But they didn't step in, they didn't help them. When China sent that radar boat over to the Strait of Hormuz, no one messed with it. The US Navy didn't mess with it, nobody messed with it. That doesn't happen without some kind of agreement. It feels to me like Trump played the hardliners and said, okay, we're going to war, and let Bibi do his thing. And he walked right into it.
And you can't go into Iran, because if you go into Iran, World War III starts because China and Russia jump it. Trump literally just obliterated that psyop in the craziest way possible. And nobody could ever say that again. And not only that, he took out one of our 3 big battles with barely a casualty and did it in under a month. It's insane.
Hey Steve, hey Ace, thank you so much for making yourselves available. Really appreciate it. And Stephen, you had, for a short while, you recovered your X account, and you posted this really great video about how Trump, possibly in concert with the elements of the Iranian regime, is restructuring the Middle East, but more than the Middle East, restructuring global relations.
Yeah.
What did you mean? Say more about that, please.
Well, so look, whenever I do a video or I do a report or something, I like to look at patterns, right? So what's going on? What has been happening, which typically wouldn't happen, and what should happen that wasn't happening. So if you look at what happened, Israel went in, America went in, started bombing Iran. We saw footage in the first couple of days, and that was it. Since then, we haven't seen anything, right? Number one. Number two, China and Russia support Iran like nobody's business. But they didn't step in, they didn't help them. Okay, radar, and things like that, GPS, but they didn't step in, right? And when China sent that radar boat over to the Strait of Hormuz, No one messed with it. The U.S. Navy didn't mess with it. Nobody messed with it. Right? That doesn't happen without some kind of agreement. So that was the first thing. And then if you know, back in 2021, when we talked about this before, when Tether, USDT is being used to pay the tolls going through the Strait of Hormuz, which goes into Howard Lutnick's company in South America, all this kind of stuff. That means that the U.S. is already working together with Iran for a long time. There's no videos coming out. There's no photos coming out. If they shot down a helicopter, they'd be bragging about it. If they were being bombarded, they'd be showing it to gain sympathy. Right? Nothing's happening in that whatsoever. So you got China, America, and Russia possibly not even in agreement, just saying, okay, we all benefit if this goes our way. So let's just sort of stand down a little bit and let's just let this play out. And that in turn, there's a thing in German saying, walking into an open knife. And this is what I saw is that it feels to me like Trump played the hardliners and said, okay, we're going to war, right? We're going to make those deals and let Bibi do his thing, right? And he walked right into it. And now the MOU was signed, and now these deals are being made, and they're talking, but Bibi's not involved anymore, right? He's sort of been sidelined. And now, through all of this, and I think, we're seeing bombing and things like that. You see all of these things happening. I think it's a real calm coming to the region. It'll be restructured. There's a new, we don't have to talk about the imperial banking system. We already know about that. That's what's being done as well, because you guys talk about that all the time. The most comments I got were, Promethean action, Susan Kokinda.
Susan Kokinda with a beard.
and so now what was interesting to me is I go, okay, if this actually plays out the way it looks like it's playing out, and we can get Lebanon under control there, and we can stop that, then the Israelis, the people, will be safer than they've been in 20 years.
Yes.
A safer place they've been in 20 years. And I'm thinking like, wow. Like, if this was actually orchestrated like the way it is, if you look at everything that I just mentioned in a flow of events, it makes sense. It makes sense. And so I just put it out there and said, this is what I feel, this is what I see, and this is what I feel. And it got very, very many comments, and even Alex Jones shared it again. So I know, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that surprised me, because Alex, I feel like I don't want to say anything good about anything Trump's doing any first. But
no, I think so. I didn't make it about Trump. The people who hate Trump made it about him. My video made it about Trump. Oh, you're giving him too much credit. I'm just talking. Look, I can prove everything that I said. It's all public knowledge. It's all anyone can do all the research. My only assumption was about the Israelis being safe.
yes,
That's my assumption. To me, it's a deduction. It looks just like it.
yeah. I don't even think it's an assumption, Steve. I think you're 100% correct. And I would even say that if this finishes the way it looks like it's going, Israel's going to be the safest it's ever been since its inception. Because you take also into effect that this is all happening under the fact that the Abraham Accords occurred in Trump's first term. So Trump is literally defanging the whole destabilizing the Middle East as a tool of anybody. And it's brilliant. And I said this when Trump first went in, and I started seeing, because Steve, you're a little older than me, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but I was raised.
He's a lot older. He's many times older.
I'm trying to, the only reason I even said it is because he's gray. Otherwise, I'd pretend he's my age. But I was raised believing and being taught that there's three big bad guys in the world you can't mess with, and it's Russia, China, and Iran. And you can't go into Iran, because if you went to Iran, World War III starts because China and Russia jump in. Trump literally just obliterated that psyop in the craziest way possible, and nobody could ever say that again. And not only that, he took out one of our three big bads with barely a casualty and did it in under a month. It's insane. And all these people still acting like Iran has any power whatsoever are retarded. I'm sorry, it's true. Because they don't. They have like some negotiating power here and there, but Trump is just playing them. He's playing everybody. It's pretty obvious.
I don't think he's playing. I don't think he's playing them. I think they're playing along. I think that's the deal.
Oh, okay.
That's what I feel like. That's what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's completely fair. I think I was talking about like on the media perspective level. Playing. But I think your clarification is important. But the other thing he did is he also exposed everything in Iran. This is why, starting by mid-March, I was starting to say that I think historically they're going to look back and say this is one of the greatest military offensives in history because of how much it accomplished and how quickly and efficient it was. And one of the other reasons is It exposed NATO fully. This is the first war they never helped us with in 100 years. Expose them fully. Why not this one? The next thing is it exposed China. China military is a paper tiger. All they had to offer, this was Venezuela and Iran had Chinese defense stuff. We destroyed it without a blink. Not even and Russian. Basically, I say that Iran should stop shopping Temu for its military. That's what we learned. Like Temu, that's what their military is doing. China's economy since Trump got in is declining. And we were all told it was going to surpass us by 2030. Now it's not even 60% of the US economy that's going backwards, so we're gaining. So we've exposed China, we exposed Iran. Russia is starting to play along with us in a lot of interesting ways. What did Trump do? He went to China after this Iran thing. In the next week, Stalin shows up. I'm not Stalin. Might have been a Soviet slip there. Putin shows up to China.
You were thinking about that, weren't you?
Yeah, there's the arc thing right there. They're all meeting with each other. But again, like to Steve's point, China and Russia don't jump in. We don't get World War III. No troops on the ground. We just handled all this. And now everybody's crying about this MOU. And okay, fine, we'll see how it plays out. I'm open to that. You can't trust the Iranians traditionally. Okay, I'm open to that. Let's watch and see how it plays out. But I'll tell you this. The MOU now is almost 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. And it's been peaceful, other than a couple. I know we did those strikes and stuff the other day, but for all intents and purposes, for our voters, for the world, it's been peaceful. Oil's flowing. There's not nobody's being brought in. So it's very interesting how this is all playing out. Literally, the world is before Iran and after Iran as this all plays out.
I think that you're exactly right. It's the way I see it. But I also think the MOU is genius because the MOU. I mean, what's happening right now is going to happen anyway. The MOU is just a big middle finger.
Yes.
To the European Union. Yeah, exactly. To the neocons, to the Europeans, to everybody. We're doing an MOU. When did we ever do an MOU before? What are you buying a business?
And he signed it at first side.
Exactly. Beside Macron trying to, Yes, exactly. So I just feel like that was symbolic. Everything that whole MOU game, Versailles, Macron, France, Empire, all this, it was all symbolic.
Yeah.
If we were to take MOU backwards, maybe it's like screw France or something. I don't know.
Screw the city of London.
We're in the inventory, and it always appears when they're in season for us, which is always.
Well, a couple of things that I want to add. So, Stephen, you're saying about how Trump's defanged the hardliners in Iran, the IRGC, and the warmongers, but also defanged or is defanging the warmongers in the Israeli polity.
No, he's not. He's exposing them and letting them run into the open blade. He's letting them run into the open blade. And where are they going right now? Where are they going right now? They're going against the wall. They never look more desperate and more crazy than they look right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's
the whole region's calming down. The whole region's calming down. They're looking like, okay, this is looking good actually. And then there's these warmongers in Israel screaming louder than ever before. Okay, you guys okay?
Yeah.
But there's more that he's doing. He's defanging US military presence. He's exposed NATO. I think he's further weakening Ukraine, which serves Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And the weakening the military presence is through the strikes that Iran has taken on American bases, because they're not going to get rebuilt soon.
Look, I'm here in the Middle East right now, right? I'm in Dubai, right?
Right.
I was talking to everybody, where were they hit? Where barracks that were empty, and it was like an empty field, and it was like there's no infrastructure here that was destroyed. And then I talked about what about here and then Bahrain and stuff like that. Oh yeah, there was something hit on the outskirts. It seems to me it's all a good show.
Yeah.
Everybody I talked to is like, no real infrastructure was destroyed. Like in where was it, in Bahrain, or was it? Yeah, it was Bahrain where they hit the army base, the military base. That was empty barracks. They had sent the families home months ago, right? So blow it up to effect. Oh wow, look, a scary Iran.
But even the effect of that would be we're not bringing troops back in there because they're vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
So it serves that purpose of.
But that's not the purpose. The purpose is much bigger than that. He's given somebody here in the Middle East, he's given some of these people the stability that they need to move forward with America. right, as his new financial hub, so to say. That's what he's doing with all this. Okay, you need us to remove it. If we got to remove it with, we got to move out with real reason and grace, or like truth. So it looks like we fought a battle. We got our ass kicked here and there, so we're bowing out. Thanks for the battle. It was a hard fight, and now everybody's happy. It isn't like you're up to leave. Okay, we're leaving with our tail between our legs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this looks. That's what it looks like to me. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this way, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, and you're gonna hit this, and you're gonna hit that, and everybody does that. The peace falls here at the Marriott. Flames everywhere. Oh my goodness, we're next to the Marriott. I went over there. It was like, what happened? Oh, like a taxi got hit. Taxi car got hit. No one got hurt. And that's it. That was all over the news. It was a big deal. It's so it's all. I don't want to say it's all show, because people are getting hurt and people are, there are casualties, but it isn't what it seems.
Paid subscriptions are now live. Go to richbestpolitics.com to sign up, become a member of my community, and you also have the option to signing up for monthly Zoom calls that I will be leading. Links in the description below.
There's real aspects to it, right? There's real aspects to it, but the overall thing seems to be in control. And that's, that's what it looks like to me as well. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, to your point, Steve, they gave him an excuse to start breaking up OPEC. What? I mean, are you serious? I'm old enough to remember George Bush, Clinton, Biden, Obama groveling before OPEC. Please put out more oil. Please, sir, give us more oil. Now we don't even need it. It doesn't matter. Trump did that, and he woke up the world to it because of Iran. I mean, it's incredible. That's not getting enough talk about, by the way. I mean, OPEC actually controlled so much. And so their oil manipulation's gone. These countries in the Middle East are becoming more sovereign. They're becoming more wealthy. It's incredible what we're seeing. And nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to talk about how you can't trust the Iranians. You said, Trump's an idiot. And it's like, it's crazy. And it's not just it is what, Steve, you're abroad right now. And you live in the UK, but Rich, but here, oh my God, the media is crashing out over Iran every chance they can get. It is always about how this is about to fall apart. Trump has no idea what they're doing. They're pulling out all the neocons.
It's a bit like that
no matter what. But they're trying to slip MAGA over this too. It is what Ted Cruz is going crazy about it. It's nonstop. It's nonstop.
These guys. They all have an agenda. You know that. I know that. Most of the viewers watching this know that. It's unfortunate that most people don't know that. It's just an agenda. They're driving towards something personal, private. Military industrial complex. The entire, the media
and obviously anyone that's
part of this now as well. The pharmaceutical industrial complex. It's all a part of it, man.
So it's all part of it.
For me, it's getting to the point now. I feel almost stupid even reacting to it, because it's so obvious. It's so. It's almost like we're on a different plane now. Like there's actually a matrix, and we're on a different plane than everybody else. Because if you don't see this, I don't know what to tell you.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention, it's crazy obvious. And all you have to do is look just past one filter. If you're getting your news, from CNBC, MSNBC, whatever. Okay, there's your filter. If you just look past that, just a hair, it's not hard to see what's actually happening here. It is incredibly obvious. It has been incredibly successful.
And you mean ICV
and all that? It seems to be like Iran really was a keystone to unlock all this other stuff. And Venezuela was the keystone to unlock going into Iran.
Exactly.
They had to stop the money first, though.
They had to stop the money first, right? They had to stop that cash flow. They had to stop it. So, blockade Venezuela, box in Colombia, work on Mexico. You're never going to go to Iran. It was a brilliant deal.
And not as bad as
and then Bibi's been trying to get the Americans to attack Iran for over 20 years.
Yes.
So Trump's like, all right, we're going to end this shit.
I'm going to say they're not as bad at all.
It's amazing. I mean, he's threading a needle that nobody ever believed could be threaded.
Let me
say he and his team. Yeah.
Well, whenever I say Trump, I hope.
I know.
By now my viewers would know that, but you're right. It's not just Trump. Trump is genius, but it takes a big team to pull this off. But it's a brilliant team. And part of that, I think, Steve, is that Trump's the first president, I believe, in maybe since Reagan, maybe before Reagan, who's fully unleashed our military to do what they can do. We've just never seen this. I mean, We did
Well,
have
yes,
no
it's
idea
the
how much our
army.
military was being hamstrung, hands tied behind their back
That's the same
until
thing
Trump
for
came
war.
along. We are so much more advanced than we had any idea.
I have my guys
I'm
in the
going to say since
military
the Second World War, possibly.
who actually briefed Trump.
I
And
don't
he
know.
said it's day and night. Field commanders have autonomy now to make decisions.
Wow.
I know.
Might be
Wow.
with
That's what you see when I was in.
Afghan.
And before they couldn't even can I drive this Jeep to point A to point B? Guys, you got to ask the chain of command. It was like it took us forever. We couldn't do anything. Our hands were tied. And now the field commanders each have their autonomy. So it's pretty amazing. So yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to add something to the mix. That something else that this is accomplishing is bringing Iran back into the world.
Yeah.
You know, memorandum of understanding is really good for Iran.
Yeah.
They get all this investment from other Middle Eastern nations, and then they have trade relationships with them. They get integrated, and the thing that I see from my family, my cousins, and the sort of the inroad that I have into the Muslim world through them is that Iran has won. Iran has won. Iran has defeated the United States. Fine, great, no problem there.
It's a narrative on both sides, and I don't think anyone in the big picture really cares, because if we can achieve peace, bring Iran back into the fold, let go of the sanctions, which is part of the deal, get their frozen assets back to them. We can have a thriving Middle East, peaceful. I mean, Iran has always said, Iranian people have always said, we're not enemies. One of our biggest populations in America are Iranian Americans. In Hamburg, Germany, there's more Iranians in Hamburg, Germany than anywhere else in Europe. They have no problem with the West. Yeah. It's the regime. It's the regime. Yes. And now this regime switch and all this kind of stuff. So I, who cares? They say
it's
we
win-win then,
we
Steve.
won.
It's win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You really
win-win.
Trump's created.
And for all the talk of Trump being like this narcissist, he doesn't care. They're bragging that he won. He doesn't care at all. He's like, go say whatever you want to say. All that matters to me is this is done, and I can start building. Trump really wants as much peace in the world as he can bring, because he wants people to thrive. He wants economies to grow. He wants nations to be sovereign. That's what he wants. You can call him a foreign policy like that.
People will call you out on that. He started so many wars. He went to Venezuela. And he went to, and for me, that's appeasement to the hardliners, because you can't walk into the hardliners and be like, starting today, it's over. We're not doing this anymore. They would have killed me.
Yeah.
So,
the thing is with Americans, we love our military, and we like winning. And the reason, we don't like long wars. We don't want to hurt innocent people. We don't want to get involved in stuff like that. We want to be, but you know what we do like? We like seeing bad guys go down. We like, there's still that masculine element in America. Is so when he went into Iran, the big talk was, it's Iraq 2.0. Well, Trump blew that narrative up really quick by just bombing them, getting the peace within a month, or ceasefire, now this MOU, and people love that. Venezuela, they love that. You know who didn't love it? All the people who tried to take down Trump, trying to tie him to the past.
Yeah.
It was Bush 2.0. This Obama all over again.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Trump did, part of the genius in doing it is not only did he, he thread the needle again. He pushed the envelope, but he then proved he could do it different. And he proved America could do it different than we've been doing.
Possibly
that's a big deal going forward.
Which begs the question, why, this is almost a rhetorical question, the Bushes and the Obamas kept wars going for so long. I mean, the first Gulf War didn't go on for long because George Bush wouldn't extend it. But Afghanistan and the second Gulf War, and Obama bombed Libya for 7 months, the last 7 months of his presidency, completely destroyed that country. Just keeping the conflict going. And Trump hasn't done that.
There's other ways to generate revenue and create jobs and make a country wealthy again. There's other ways to do that besides war. It's just that we've never done it in the last 50 years.
World War II. See, in World War II, they learned in America that they could produce using war wealth and get out of issues in the economy. So America finally said that. Europe known that for a long time. Okay, the City of London system knew that for a long time. But we've been running that. But there's a saying that goes around that says all wars are bankers' wars. That's not true, but it's mostly true, especially nowadays. But Trump just proves that there is war that is not banker war, that actually accomplishes goals and free stuff up that it can be useful. So, I mean, this is amazing what you pull off.
Defeats the
Banks
bankers.
and makers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the city of London. Stephen, I want to ask you something because
Defeat the
you
bad
said
guys
you're
in
in
the city of
Dubai.
London, yeah.
6 sound.
There's
Which
lots
I've
of
been saying.
videos on YouTube
Not the
about
city in
how
Iran, they're in London.
people are leaving Dubai, the tourism is crashing, the vacancy rates have gone up.
Well, I'm at the Dubai Mall
Bullshit.
right now, and if I just show you around, does this look like it's bombing? It's
No.
bombing out. Like everybody's losing? No, it's not. Right. So it's we are it's alive and well here, and it's fabulous as it always is. I mean, I couldn't live here full time, but it's fabulous. People are, you know what's amazing here? People are cordial. They're friendly. There's no arguments. I mean, if you argue, you go to jail. So, you know. So, I mean,
There's a lot of downside.
well, no, it's actually a good thing, Ace, because it's so calm and elegant and beautiful and cordial and friendly. It's
and
it's amazing.
peaceful and safe.
Yeah.
I
love
remember,
it.
I
That's
remember working in. I worked in Doha. I actually worked in Ras Laffan refinery many years ago, and being told by our driver, you know, we'd come back. We're going to go to a restaurant. He said, "Oh, you can leave your bag, your computer bag, in the car with the car unlocked."
Yeah, because nobody will touch anything over there yet because there's no crime, because you get punished.
They do TikTok videos here. They'll leave like a Louis Vuitton bag in the middle of the mall on a table, and they just film it, and no one touches no one.
Yeah.
You know, in America, it wouldn't take 10 seconds.
In England, it'd be a minute.
But they find it.
Fucking hell, if you had it on
In
you, you'd get
London or New
roughed.
York, it'd be gone.
Yeah,
You wouldn't do
Yeah, that's what I'm
that.
saying.
you wouldn't do that, you get mucked with
But
it.
no, it's,
Yeah,
I-
especially in the city here.
Yeah.
In the country, it might last a little while, but
yeah, it would.
Definitely in London.
No, it's, I don't see any issues here. We've been asked when we got here. You know, I talked to the head of security. What a great guy. He's like,
Because
no,
people don't
no
do
issues.
crime
There was
over
like
there.
one little
It's
thing
super-
next door.
People don't bother, mate,
You know,
because you get
scratched or whatever. You
punished
know.
over there.
He said, no, it was all just, you know, one guy I was jogging and I saw a drone fly by. It was really scary. I was like, okay, you know.
Hardly a war zone. Now, the other thing that's happened, I don't know if they're connected, is how Russia has raised their tempo again to a whole other level
In Ukraine.
in Ukraine. And then Germany announced that they're going to be sending back military age Ukrainian men.
It wasn't just Germany, it's all of the EU, yeah.
yeah, didn't UK just announce, Starmer announced a budget increase as well?
Yeah, more money
Yeah.
for slaughter.
Yeah, I believe they're trying to ramp that up.
This is
I think it's
this is
a
a
big
big problem.
problem.
This is well, it is the only thing that's growing. The only economic space that's growing in Europe right now is defense. So if they don't have a war, they don't have an economy. You talk about war economy, like we were talking about, right? And then if you talk about this, so just out of curiosity, you have Ukrainian men who fled actual war to seek refuge with their families, right? In Western Europe, Eastern Europe, whatever. You had Syrians and whoever else flee a war to the West, right? In mass, millions and millions and millions of them. Now they want to send the Ukrainians back to Ukraine, and that's okay. Why aren't they sending the other military
Because
aged
the
men,
child
the
chasing
5 million of them that
religion,
went into Europe, back to Syria or Libya or wherever they're from? You know what I mean? It's a double standard, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why are you taking Ukrainians and telling them they have to go back and fight now in a war that they're losing, in a war where they've lost over 2 million people,
This is
right?
Yeah.
In a war where there's concentration camps, people being beaten to death just because they don't want to go to the front line, kidnapped every day on the streets, right? The washing machine, the pump, the billions of dollars
Don't
coming in and
care
out of
because
there.
they're not a
They're for
colour.
everybody
They're for
but
colour
the
than
people
us, are they?
of Ukraine.
Christians, so they don't
Ukraine
care,
has
mate.
become a corporate entity. It's a profit center. That's all it is anymore.
Oh, yeah, it's 2014 at least, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, for real,
talk
if
about
you
it
look at
back
Ukraine, there's nobody left. They're importing foreigners from two different countries to take the place of the men that are missing to do the jobs.
Crazy.
You know, and we're still talking about pumping money in there. Oh, we gotta send people back. Let's get rid of the rest of the final Ukrainians that saved themselves. Let's send them back. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying everybody who left Ukraine was a poor fighter guy. Of course not. There's a lot of Bentleys and Rolls Royces running around, but that's a whole different story because there's those people in every country. But Germany is now trying to get the U.S. to build their weapons in Germany. You see that one? He's trying to talk Trump into opening factories
Wow.
in Germany to make their weapons in Germany.
Oh
They
my
have
gosh.
no economy left.
Yeah. Well, they've killed their industry, which that's what they were. They were an industrial nation.
And
You know?
check this out. At VW, I heard this the other day and I could not believe it. VW made a deal with China for some carbon credits and stuff like that. And in a small print down at the bottom, if they don't reach a certain amount, then the Chinese own VW. And it came to
Oh
fruition.
my God.
The Chinese freaking own a majority of VW now. The national product of Germany. And VW shut down some of their factories, and they're now turning them into defense factories.
That's why all the new bugs are red. I didn't know. That's why all the new bugs are red.
So Germany and Europe is in deep.
Oh, they're in so much trouble. Yeah, in Ukraine, this is all they have. This is their last ditch effort to try to keep that war machine going, to keep that EU system going, the city London system. And I want to go back to something you said, Steve, it's very interesting. Everybody here in America, and I mean every media place I can find that I listen to just to kind of hear what they're saying. I don't trust them, but I want to get the narratives. It is everything is that Ukraine's winning. Ukraine's turned the point in the war. That is what they're telling us. And so I'd love you to speak a little bit more to that, just give some details to people.
Well, there's nothing left, first of all. Second of all, it's shifting. What they're saying is winning is they have these drone attacks. And what Ukraine has done is because they can't win on the battlefield, they've turned to hitting civilian targets, right?
In Russia.
So that gets in Russia, and that gets a lot more attention. So that a lot more attention. Refineries and apartment buildings and things like that. Now, Russia has been playing that down now a little bit as well. They're not showing as much as they were before because it does look bad when you were getting, your refineries getting hit and apartment buildings getting hit. So, but in the end, what my guy said to me, which surprised me, was that Ukraine is making so many drones now, faster than ever before, that they're going to kick Russia's butt. And I said, a ballistic missile and a drone. Just don't even come and move that.
I hope
right?
to God that Trump comes out.
I'm not even talking about
Russia,
nuclear weapons.
actually.
I'm actually believing now nuclear
I'm not
weapons
being
may
all
not
glad
even
that we're
exist.
taking it by Russia.
May all be a farce because
But I'm of
at this point,
side.
at least
It's some
tactical
ways.
somewhere. You can think what happened.
It's
right?
not wrong
He has
either,
these,
right?
what do they call those? Those inertia weapons, and they have no collateral damage. Everything collapses on
But
on
it's
itself.
Germany, France, and England,
He
mate.
starts unleashing that. Kinetic weapons. That's what they're called. And he starts unleashing
Yes,
that because
Germany,
those drones
England,
go
of
out.
course,
You know,
yeah.
so it's come on.
Oh, yeah.
So there's nothing left in Ukraine, man. There's no. I mean, as far as manpower goes, as far as military goes, there's nothing left.
Well, the resources of the industry are over in the east, in lands taken by Russia now. The western Ukraine is largely agricultural, brought up by BlackRock. And then a country as large and as powerful as Russia, I'm not a military guy, but you can't overtake it with drones.
No.
It hasn't. Those attacks into Moscow and other parts of Russia serve no strategic purpose. They don't demoralize anything in the battlefield. But even in the demoralization, Russia's so large. You know, people in Dubai don't notice anything.
Unless
They're
Russia
not
come
gonna
around
notice
to
anything in
start
Russia.
doing things on
Good
your
luck trying to demoralize a
leave
Russian.
Russia alone. That's what I say.
That's their standard. That's what they
We can't even deal with it. We can't deal with Russia.
You know, if you remember with Russian literature, you know, we start demoralized, we work from this, they can get back.
On YouTube, there's this channel. There's a few of them. The most so and so in the world. There's one the most Russian man in the world. Like short videos and about how just for leisure they'll wrestle bears or something.
Tell them they're fucking not Ukrainian.
They lost
2 shots of vodka, they'll do anything.
They lost 20+ million people in the Second World War. Drones aren't going to do anything.
Maybe they'll have to
Just-
change.
Yeah, but see, Rich, you're talking. Our language is common sense. Yeah.
Yes.
And the world out there, unfortunately, forgot what that means. Right?
Yes.
They hear something, it fits their agenda and what they believe. Okay, so that's true. Now hold on to that. My groupthink, my identity's tied to that thought. My identity's tied to the outcome. So that's the truth. That's what we're up against. That's why conversations like this are so important. That okay, we may be preaching to the choir already, but there's always 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that trickle in, and as we do this more and more, the more we spread the word. That's why it's important.
The choir's growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we weren't taught this. to your point, Steve.
No.
It's like, you know, how many people actually understand the Russians? You have to go looking for that. It's not, they purposely held, so it's like that whole common sense thing. It's because of, we have the knowledge, we've done the work. If you don't have the knowledge, you can't have the common sense in regard to these issues.
Yeah. And I live with a Ukrainian woman, so I pretty much have intimate knowledge about the toughness of the Slavic.
Literally intimate knowledge.
I was thinking more about the really cold, brutal winters.
Same as the UK.
Okay. All right. All right. Steve, Ace, thank you so much, guys. And one of the things about spreading the word and standing for peace, if you're in the UK, go to notaxforwar.com and you can find out how you can lawfully, legally, peacefully withhold your taxes as a protest against war. Notaxforwar.com. Subscribe to my paid subscriber group. Follow Steve on Join Tab X on X.
Join Tab _USA on X.
King
I'll have the
I'm not
links in
paying
the
for the
description
book.
below, and similarly for
The
Ace on
fucking
X and also
do.
American Fire on YouTube.
Well, thank you very much.
Prime Minister, it's your second anniversary in the job this week.